Hi, this is Gerald Salenti. It's Wednesday, September 6, 2017, and here are some of today's trends in the news. On the market front, over there in Asia, Nikkei down a little bit, but Shanghai and Hang Seng up. Not a lot. Over there in Europe, mixed market as well. Here in the States, Dow's up a bit, Nasdaq's up a bit, oil's up a bit, gold's down a bit. So what's going on? Hey, remember yesterday? Whoa. U.S. stocks fall as tensions flare. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 234 points Tuesday as threats from North Korea and another powerful hurricane weighed on major indexes. These are only temporary things. Hurricanes come and go, do a lot of damage, ruin a lot of lives, unfortunately. Remember, that's why no one could predict the future. The wild cards, either by Mother Nature or made by man. And you know what's going on right now. We got the Trump card, one of the wildest cards out there. So that's why you can't predict the future. You could forecast where things are going, but bap, the wild card, and jack, you're dead. So, staying on this, Korea is a temporary issue. We don't see a war happening, and we've explained why a number of times, because if they attack North Korea, bye-bye South Korea. And we showed you that picture yesterday. Remember those folks in Japan that they sent to the emergency shelters? And what were they doing? They were bending over, getting ready to you-know-what, to kiss it goodbye. Oh, no, they were hiding in case a nuclear weapon went off, like when we were kids in school. Yeah, it'll do nothing. Yeah, take a look at this picture, just to show you how stupid it is. So, there's not going to be a war. And again, if North Korea does attack the United States, poof, that place turns into glass real quick. So, only temporary. That's not what's moving the markets. The markets are overvalued, and that's why they're going to correct. But we do not see a crash. And markets today, Wall Street also paid attention to U.S. interest rates after the benchmark 10-year yield hit its lowest level of the year in the previous session. The lower move came after Federal Reserve Governor Brainard said the central bank should be cautious in raising interest rates while inflation remained weak. So now remember, the odds in the summer where the interest rates were going to go up was a 60% odds they were going to go up. Now they're around 36%. Keep fluctuating in the 30 range now. And again, the reason why gold is going up, not because of North Korea, those are temporary issues. If there's a world war, then it really goes up. But these things come and go. It's going up because of the job report that came out of the United States last week that was way lower than what they were anticipating. And the growth is moderate at best in the United States, 2%. So it's the interest rate game. And gold went up today, it went down today because of who knows why. It's just in a very tight range now. It has to break over 1,400 for it to really boost forward, but it's in a very solid trading range right now. And oil prices went up a little bit because now they're refining more down in Houston, but now with more hurricanes coming. But again, if you listen to the Russians, you listen to the Kuwaiti foreign ministers, they're saying the same exact thing we are. And you know that we said it long before they did. Matter of fact, here's what they're saying. Russian Energy Minister Alexander Novak said on Wednesday, today, he expects the 2018 Brent price to be $45 to $55 a barrel. Hey, and this one, Kuwait oil minister said Brent would hover around $50 to $55 a barrel until the end of 2017. I guess they listen to trends in the news, because that's what we've been saying now for almost 2 years. So take it easy, fellas. Copper soars on Chinese data and weak dollar. Now, Dr. Copper, remember this, very important. They call it Dr. Copper because it has a PhD in predicting where the markets are going to go because of industrial growth. Copper is used in virtually everything industrial, from technology to heavy equipment. So when demand goes up for copper, that means the economies aren't doing that bad. And that's what you're seeing. It's not strong economies, but they're growing economies, which are better than retracting economies. And that's why we don't see a market crash. Yes, bubbles will burst. In real estate in Australia and Canada and other places, China, but not enough to bring down the global markets. At this point, again, we suggest only a wild card event will do it. European Central Bank expected to signal end of stimulus. Well, we'll see. We're going to know more Thursday. If they get rid of stimulus, very important, the euro gets stronger. And what happens to the dollar? It gets weaker. And what does that mean for gold? It gets stronger. So we're going to start seeing what happens with the stimulus if they wind it down. And you know Mario Draghi, the ECB president, every time he speaks, you can't believe a word of what he says. So who knows what they're going to do. And what else do we have? Yes, you know the story. The business of America, war. The business of China, business. Chinese agree $1 billion deal for Brazilian port operator. That's right, buying them up in Greece, airports in Germany, buying up the world as America bombs the world. Again, the 20th century was the American century. We forecast the 21st century is going to be China's. Nigeria and South Africa inch out of recession. Again, so too is Brazil. The global economy is not strong, but it's better than very weak. And again, that's why we do not see a market crash. We see a market correction. And it's not like everything is hunky-dory over there, you know. They got a lot of problems. You know, Nigeria relies on what? Oil. And oil prices are low. And they have all that political turmoil over there in South Africa. But yet the economy is doing better. Poll shows America's divisions growing. Big story today in the Wall Street Journal. Hey, I guess they read the Trends Journal too. Oh yeah, you forgot? Here's the cover of the spring edition. Here, look. And more economic news. Nissan to launch new electric car. Yep, the Leaf. All-electric car that will travel further on a charge and add autonomous driving features. And they say that according to Nissan and Renault, they predict the two companies will sell a cumulative 1.5 million electric vehicles. Well, the cumulative figure right now is 490,000. They say that's going to count for 10% of global sales by 2020. And then you read, they're bragging that they're going to get more mileage. They're getting 107 miles on a full charge, and they're not saying how much more they're going to be getting. Again, we do not see what they're saying happening until there's a better technology beyond batteries, the way batteries are now, since batteries were invented around 1800. So you want to talk about a smokestack industry, they're going to have something bigger than batteries to make it happen, but it will happen. And again, even if there's electricity, remember what happened, electric cars, what happened when they had oil and gas, and then how that replaced coal. Everything was coal burning. But there was still a market for coal. So even with the alternative energies, there will still be a market for oil and gas. Not as big, but it'll be there. And of course, the big news is the North Korean news. Story in today's Financial Times. Autocrats' motivation for saber rattling divides experts. An autocrat, yeah, in the United States, you don't have autocrats, you got duocrats. You got the Republicans and the Democrats. You want to call them autocrats? What is the difference? Remember, Monday in the United States was Labor Day. It's Labor Day. We're working for the autocrats, those politicians, so they could steal our money in the names of taxes and give it to their friends and themselves so they could still live like little nobility. Anyway, here's what they say. This is coming from the university professor at Seoul in South Korea. North Korea is trying to strike a deal with Washington on its own terms. It wants a security guarantee from the United States and a guarantee for the regime's survival. How dare they? What right do they have to want that? Some experts believe North Korea is seeking a deal that would recognize it as a legitimate nuclear state and free it from the grasp of international sanctions. Such a deal would also entail a peace treaty with the United States as a security commitment to a move that would be met with consternation in Seoul. Why? The United States has 30,000 troops there. They keep harassing the place with these military drills, dropping bombs on their borders. They're looking for peace. And what do we have? The military-industrial complex and the neocons always calling for war. Putin denounces oil sanctions push against North Korea. Mr. Putin said military hysteria could lead to a global catastrophe. Quote, the sanctions regime has run its course, Mr. Putin said. They will eat grass in North Korea that abandon this program unless they feel safe. And what can ensure safety? The application of international law. This is why Hillary Clinton hates him so much. Matter of fact, CNN, the Cartoon News Network, top story today. Top story today. Clinton's book and how much she hates Putin. Hey, you lost. The reason you lost had nothing to do with Putin is because people can't stand you. You are arrogant, you're a liar, and you're a murderer, just like your old man. Yeah, Bill, Slick Willie, forgot him too, huh? That's why you lost. What did the Russians do? If they did anything, not a shred of evidence, but if they did, they showed what a fraud you are. And how you and your husband work for the Goldman Sachs gang and all the other economic elite. Anyway, that was their feature story. This is why she hates Putin, because Putin tells it like it is. He goes on. Mr. Putin argues North Korea's leadership is acting rationally in continuing to pursue its weapons program as Iraq and Libya, both regimes that gave up nuclear ambitions, were ultimately toppled by the United States and its allies. Quote, everyone remembers what happened with Iraq and Saddam Hussein. Hussein gave up the production of weapons of mass destruction. And they also know and remember that in North Korea, Mr. Putin said. And you think that North Korea will abandon its course because of some sanctions? Yeah. And Libya, the same thing. Brought to you by the murderer, Hillary Clinton, Samantha Power, Susan Rice, and Obama, the Nobel Peace or Crap Prize president. Putin speaks the truth, and nobody wants to say it. Leave the guy alone. They're not doing anything to anybody. North Korea hasn't invaded a country ever. But hey, the United States did a great job in destroying the joint in the 1950s, leveled everything. They want peace. They want to get into the international community. The United States wants war. By their deeds you shall know them. America has an untarnished war record that just continues. All those people demonstrating on that issue about young kids coming into the country from foreign countries and getting citizenship. They're all out in the streets, but lockjaw about war. Hey, U.S. raid killed civilians, not militants. Somalia army chief. We have every right to be in Somalia. You know why. We're getting them terrorists. Hey, I think it was North Korea that was down in Somalia before us. No, it wasn't. 11 Afghans killed in U.S. airstrikes. Oh, hey, it was those North Koreans, I tell you, that did it. They're everywhere. They're in Somalia and they're in Afghanistan. That's why we got to keep doing, all these military drills on their border. UN warns U.S. inflicting unacceptable civilian casualties in Raqqa strikes. Raqqa is where? In Syria. United States invading a foreign nation. A sovereign nation that's done nothing to us. And all you women out there with your pink pussy hats on demonstrating, and all of you other people demonstrating about these other issues, murder is okay with you, huh? They're only Syrians. Yep. One after another. Mosul takes small steps forward. United States has destroyed Mosul. You ready for this? Iraq's displaced people, 3.3 million. Wonder why they have a refugee crisis in Europe. Maybe you should put a committee together. Yeah, a blue ribbon committee. And put Hillary Clinton on it right ahead of it. Iraq's fast victory over ISIS leaves much of Tal Afar damaged. Yep, that's all the United States does. Of course, that's in Iraq, right? All they do is bomb these places into dust. That's their military strategy. A strategy that has not worked. America has not won a war since World War II. And I know the Russians played a big part in winning it, but so too did the Americans, for all you people that comment on the other side. The fact is, haven't won anything since. And then finally, former CIA chief becomes a fellow at Fordham. That's right, John Brennan. Isn't that great? Yeah, a good Catholic university. Bring in those CIA people. Teach those kids right. Hey, after all, look at the Catholic Church and the scandals with all those priests. Again, I went to Catholic school as well. I had Sister Marie Rosaire that beat me up and perforated my middle ear and broke my eardrum. But thankfully, Father Foley was a ladies' man. This is Gerald Celente, and that's some of today's trend.